Let's start with the Warriors, the current dynasty with lots of stars that get double the TV ratings of every other NBA team. This is what it takes to beat a really good team that views themselves as the Warriors of the future and to beat them in their place. You need your top 6 players to all play really well. And Draymond Green having maybe his best second or third game of the year. It reminds me of the last Patriots team with Brady to win a Super Bowl in 2018. Brady was old like Steph. Edelman was older, beat up injuries like Clay. The older Gronk did all the dirty work. He's Draymond. And then you had your Andrew Wiggins was James White, the running back who had 87 catches, didn't get the love but was so valuable. And a lot of intellectual capital and playoff experience. And just when you thought Brady, Gronk, and Edelman didn't have anything left, here come the young upstart Chiefs, the Rams and their flashy offense, and they put it together 2018 and win a Super Bowl. How many times did we see New England do that? And how many times have we seen the Warriors pull that off last night? It is simply hard to account for the Brady-Belichick intellectual capital, Steve Kerr's ability to adapt, the experience of the Warriors. Draymond Green literally becomes a different player in games like this. I mean, here's a team that was historically not poor, historically awful on the road. And this is why I don't talk about the MVP race much. What's it matter? The regular season, star players don't even want to play. And then you get last night how well the Warriors played. Does everybody get how good Sacramento is? How tough it is to win in Sacramento? That is one of the great performances by any team on the road all year. It's not like Sacramento choked. They didn't pull a Milwaukee. Their coaching wasn't terrible. Their good players played mostly very good. This was an all-time performance. The Warriors had 33 assists. You don't even have to like the Warriors. Did you see that passing last night? They needed every assist. They had 7 blocks. They needed every block. That was a masterclass on how to win a road playoff game against a really upstart, really talented young team. And we said this during the regular season. It's hard. Anytime you have a team with multiple rings, the Warriors, that won the year before, the Warriors, with a lot of old veterans, the Warriors, you're not going to get a ton of urgency this regular season. Remember that Patriots team, that 2018 Patriots team, they started the year they were 3-5 on the road that year. They lost to Jacksonville. They lost at Detroit. They were a bad road team. And then they got to the playoffs against upstart Mahomes, Andy Reid in Kansas City. They beat him in overtime. And again, it was Belichick. It was Brady. It was just all that experience and playoff capital they had that it's hard to explain. The Patriots didn't look all year like they could beat Kansas City. They go to Arrowhead and beat them in overtime. And last night, I said yesterday on the show, I don't know if this team didn't win a big road game all year. Why do I doubt them? This is what they do. 33 assists. May have been the best passing performance by any team so far in the playoffs. Draymond Green had, I think, his best basketball game probably of the season in the toughest environment. He was unbelievable. Steph Curry doing a curly kneel, dribbling all over the basketball court at the end and then hitting the shot. It's just hard to account for stuff. I mean, this is an old team that won a title. They had the Draymond Green, Jordan Poole problem before the season starts. You add some chemistry issues. They're a worn-down team that played so many playoff games, and they didn't play with any urgency on the road. There were chemistry issues. Didn't see it last night. To pass like that, shot blocking, switching on defense, that was a total team effort. The best 6 players all played exceptional, or they don't win that game. And here is Steve Kerr after.
The experience that they've had over the last decade, playing in a lot of big games, is definitely helpful. This is a different team than what we had all year, and so what happened in November and December and January on the road has nothing to do with right now. This is the team you're looking at is, a team that won a championship last year and won a ton of road playoff games, and our guys know how to do it, and they got it done tonight.
It's really amazing. Even a guy like Moses Moody, who didn't really play much, when he was in, it mattered. That was a virtuoso performance, and let's be honest here, Sacramento's really good. Sacramento has the coach of the year. They're good. They're deep. Malik Monk putting up big numbers. I mean, that's a really good basketball team. That's not a team that collapsed. Let's not make Sacramento into the Cavs. They just couldn't do anything offensively. Sacramento's got absolutely a puncher's chance in Game 6 at the Chase Center. It's a really good basketball team. And I thought there were stretches where the Warriors were almost flawless with their passing and their rim protection and their rebounding. Looney had 22 rebounds. I mean, everybody played great. And they just get by the Kings. All right, Milwaukee is, we think of football as kind of the coaching sport, right? But boy, was it on display last night how much it matters. Mike Budenholzer had a disastrous night. You bring out the magnifying glass in the postseason, where players and coaches, this is big boy basketball. Budenholzer made 2 big mistakes. After Jimmy Butler hit a miraculous shot, end of regulation, Budenholzer did not call a timeout, which would have given the ball, advanced it to half court for a legitimate final shot. And then in overtime, he doesn't call a timeout and they can't get a shot off. They look totally disorganized. And when you juxtapose that coaching up against Eric Spoelstra, who to me is just a fantastic in-game coach, a fantastic practice coach. That guy came out of a film room in Portland and has become really a legendary coach. You got 3 Miami players foul out in overtime. They're starting 2 undrafted players. They have 4 total. Miami is just throwing randos on the court in overtime. Giannis missed 13 free throws. The game got into his head. And so this is a collapse. I don't care what anybody says. This is a collapse. I had said going into the playoffs, this was the last year for this Milwaukee roster. Jay Crowder, Joe Ingles, Middleton, they're just, it's best days way behind them. You got to reboot this roster. Now it's time to reboot the coach. And I'm not somebody that calls for coaches to be fired, but that was a disaster last night. They won a single game in this series as the number 1 seed. And remember, Miami's offense was dead last in the NBA in the regular season. Suddenly they have life. They're scheming up game-winning plays and plays that force overtime. Some of this is just Jimmy Butler doing what he does, but there's been a lot of great individual players. This roster has 4 undrafted guys. So what happens in the playoffs is you get exposed. Players do. You get exposed. If you don't play defense, you get exposed in the playoffs. If your coach is not good situationally, you can win games. You know, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday night in Orlando or Washington. But some of this goes on Giannis too. And I know everybody loves Giannis, and I do too. But you want to know the Miami players that were on the floor in overtime? Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Cody Zeller, Hayward Highsmith, and Jimmy Butler. Sounds like a bad AAU team. And Giannis was afraid to shoot. It was in his head he'd miss so many free throws. It was bully ball or nothing. So there were so many things about, last 2 games, Miami outscored Milwaukee 73-41 in the fourth quarter. That is coaching. So I don't get into all this MVP stuff. Wake me when the games matter. But Miami is literally a different team in the playoffs. Golden State is a different team on the road in the playoffs. Mike Budenholzer, Budenholzer. It's been a bad couple of weeks for Bud. The beer and the coach. He talked after.
I believe you had a timeout with half a second left and you didn't call it. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, we need to call a timeout there.
And then in overtime, I know you like to play without calling the timeout. Was there any part of that possession where you thought maybe we're not getting something, we need to take a timeout?
No. Giannis attacked. Giannis got the ball to Chris. Chris attacked. That's how we always play. It's been very good for us. And, we weren't able to convert it tonight.
You are watching between Tibbs in New York, who completely shut down Cleveland's offense, Spoelstra, who is dominating the fourth quarter against Budenholzer, and Steve Kerr's ability to create the right rotation and the right players, young and old, bridge that gap. You are watching 3 great coaches. We always think of the NFL as the coaching sport. Hats off to Tibbs. Hats off to Spoelstra and Steve Kerr. Not just the teams, the coaches with a big assist winning these series.